It's time to discuss the worst things about every single division in the UFC. We're going to be nitpicking, even grasping at straws with some of these divisions that are good, but some of these divisions don't get enough criticism, to be honest. Some of them have no aura. Some of them have no hype. And people don't talk about those divisions enough. They hype them up too much, or they act like there's nothing bad going on there, but there's actually some bad things going on there. I'm talking about that welterweight division. I'm talking about that flyweight division. I know people complain about flyweight, but without further ado, let's get into it. The first one I'm going to discuss is the welterweight division. Might be the division that has the least aura right now outside of flyweight. Leon Edwards is the opposite of a champion that rules with an iron fist. He's not dominant. He just skates by to a victory every single time. He has a low output style, and he's not finishing anyone. He's not dominating people. He's just doing enough, and his fights are slow. Outside of that, he's fighting Belal Muhammad, okay? And who is the third active, interesting contender right now? You literally have to go down to Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley is like the most active outside of the top two fighter in the welterweight division. That's an issue. When Joaquin Buckley is the active guy that's actively putting on good performances, and Shavkat and JDM are inactive. I know JDM got injured in his last fight. Doesn't change the fact that stinks. Doesn't change the fact that our division, the welterweight division, sucks. Okay? Shavkat Rakhmonov fights once every year and a half. He fought Wonderboy Thompson in December. There's no sign of him. Maybe he fights on Abu Dhabi, but maybe not. This guy fights once a year max, Shavkat. And he's the one everyone's talking about as the boogeyman, but he never shows up. People talk about Shavkat like he's the most ducked fighter ever. We're like, sign the contract then, buddy. Sign the contract. All right? Maybe he has tried, maybe not. But like, dude, I'm fucking done with the whole, Shavkat for this guy. Shavkat. He never fights anyone. Okay? And it sucks. Ian Gary, there was hope. There was hope that he would go out there and, do well in the striking. And we could at least say, he got outstruck a little bit. But you know what? He still won, but he only got outstruck a little bit. Now Ian Gary shit the bed, had a boring performance, the second boring one in a row, and his striking wasn't even close to competitive. And I just think Gary's going to have boring performances. He lost all his hype in that MVP fight despite winning. JDM, let's be honest, I like JDM, but he's inactive right now. And his last couple performances outside of his finish over Gilbert Burns, like the way he performed the entire fight up until the last moment where he swept Gilbert Burns and finished him, which was impressive. He had a lackluster performance. Okay, staff this, staff that, whatever. Lackluster. And then he had a lackluster performance against Kevin Holland. It's just not a good look for you to be the next champion and have a lackluster performance against Kevin Holland. That's just not a good look. I'm sorry. At what point are we going to sit here and say, okay, maybe JDM is not going to be a dominant champ? Maybe JDM is not ever going to be champion. Is it going to take another fucking 29-28 over another old fighter who just scrapes by? Like, I don't think JDM is this body shot boogeyman that's folding everyone into lawn chairs. I don't know if he's the Ilia Topuria. I hope he is, because that'd be great. And I'm kind of just yapping right now, but at the same time, it'd be nice if he fought. It'd be nice if this guy got in the cage. Shavkat and JDM, the most interesting, entertaining fighters, never fight. Okay? JDM was active last year. I know people were going to be in the comments saying, what do you mean? He's been active as hell. But like, not when it counts. Not this year. Not when we're having the most boring month that we've had in months. All right? This guy never fights these days. And I know he's injured, so it's all good. But it doesn't change the fact that it stinks. Okay? And then who else do we have? Joaquin Buckley. Usman, nowhere to be found. I don't know what he's doing, but he's wasting his last couple of years away doing anything other than fighting. And I understand he's done a lot, but you're either going to compete or you're not, okay? Where is Kamaru Usman? He's nowhere to be found. Everyone's inactive. What, Colby, who's been ducking? So you've got Leon Edwards, who can't finish a fly. You've got Belal Muhammad, who can't finish a fly. And you've got Joaquin Buckley is the only one that's really doing anything in the cage and having decent performances. And again, I don't mind Joaquin Buckley. He's putting on good performances. He's got some momentum. But if that's the third most active, exciting fighter in the division right now, welterweight's trash. Let's get on to the next one. And outside of the top 10 at welterweight, there are no interesting prospects. There's no one that's making any noise outside of the rankings, okay? You've got Nicholas Dalby shutting down Renat Fakhretdinov, all right? So you know you're done. You know you're cooked if you're a welterweight prospect right now. If the best one's getting shut down a little bit by Nicholas Dalby. I know he beat Dalby, but the welterweight division is just, it's just not that exciting right now. On to the next one, the middleweight division. I'm going to be grasping at straws here. There aren't many issues with this division because I honestly think it's stacked. It's not the middleweight division of 2021 that sucked. It's a good middleweight division. Adesanya versus DDP, awesome fight. Strickland versus Whitaker, I hope that fight happens. That's a sick fight. The issue is that it takes forever for exciting prospects to actually get a chance at the rankings, more specifically the top 10. Anthony Hernandez has been on an insane win streak. He's been on like a 6-fight, 7-fight win streak, and he's not even fighting anyone in the top 10 yet, right? But we've got Marvin Vettori in the top 10, and it seems like he's going to be there forever. Marvin Vettori could lose 3 fights, and he's still in the top 10, okay? Yet you have Anthony Hernandez, who's dog-walking people, who's beating Roman Kopylov. You know, give him a chance. Now he's fighting Michel Pereira, who I don't know where Pereira's ranked. I guarantee you it's not below 14. It's probably 14, 15, or unranked. It just takes forever for these prospects to get ranked, okay? Like Bo Nickel, you could basically kiss goodbye any relevant matchup that Bo Nickel's going to have in the next few years because he's not going to have one. It's going to be Bo Nickel versus Eddie Wineland 2.0 for the next 2 years until we see him, I don't know, face the oldest fighter that's falling apart before our eyes. That's basically what it's going to be. Who else? Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira could go out there and knock out Anthony Hernandez, and he's never going to get a crack at the top 5. He's going to fight the number 14 guy, then he's going to fight the 13 guy, then the 12 guy, then the 11 guy, then the 10 guy. That's annoying. I'm tired of Vettori and listen, Cannonier shouldn't have even lost his last fight because it was a horrible early stoppage, but you know, I'm just fucking sick and tired of the 3 through the 7 guys being the exact same in the middleweight division. I swear there's like 8 people outside of the rankings, 8 people outside of the top 15 that are better than Marvin Vettori. All right, let's make it a little bit easier. Let's try to create a new division here. I'm not saying you do the Ikram Aleskarov from 0 to hero. You go from nobody to Robert Whitaker, but that was an emergency situation. Okay, I'm not saying you got to do that. I'm just saying, you know, Anthony Hernandez gets a 6-fight win streak. Give him someone at number 10. He wins that. Oh, yeah, give him someone at the number 5 spot. We don't need to see this guy win 15 in a row. All right, because I honestly think there's some people outside of the rankings that are going to give the best fighters fits at the top of that division. Dricus du Plessis was built the right way. Let's do it the way they did it with DDP. Flyweight, the obvious flyweight fights have no hype. All right, there's no big personalities that are trash talking, or there's no one that has a ton of charisma. You could say Manel Cap. What about Manel Cap? Yeah, but Manel Cap never fights. Okay, Manel Cap never fights, and he's not as good as he would need to be in order to really make noise because he won't be a champ. I don't think Manel Cap will become a champ. It'd be cool if he became a champ because he will talk some shit. He will stir the pot. I just don't think he will. He had a decision with Felipe Dos Santos. Okay? He had a loss to Mateus Nicolau where he should have won, but dude, if you're having a fucking close fight like that with Mateus Nicolau, I don't know if you beat Steve Ercik, and I don't know if you beat Pantoja. So, the champion Pantoja, he's got a boring fight style. And it's just like, you know, flyweight title fights. You get these guys to do a face-to-face interview, it'll get 10,000 views. All right, press conferences, these guys aren't making any noise. No one's getting sick highlight reel KOs, and that's not necessary. There are good fights at flyweight. There are great fights at flyweight. It's just the division of no noise. All right, a flyweight title fight could happen and no one would know. That's the issue. Until we see some fighters that are charismatic, make some noise, and it doesn't even have to be trash talking. It's just like, you got to have someone in there that's got a big personality, right? To promote the fights, to get fans to want to tune into their interviews. I feel like there's no one like that in the flyweight division. And for that reason, even if there's a co-main event, 2 title fights at flyweight, the co-main event is like not even in your top 5 most exciting fights on the card. You'd rather see Anthony Hernandez versus Michel Pereira, which is on the prelims, over the co-main event sometimes, right? I know that hardcore fans are going to be in the comments saying, dude, you're a casual, but you get my point. Like, trust me, I like flyweight fights. I think they're good, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm dying to see them. I'm not like pacing back and forth. You know, no one's really dying to see a prediction video on a flyweight title fight in and of itself. They're exciting fights. They're good fights. We're going to watch. Hardcore fans like them, but there's just no hype to them. And that's the reality of the situation. And I wish that wasn't the case. And I think because they put on entertaining fights, it could be the case, but you got to have that one fighter that makes it a marquee division. Look at Conor. Conor McGregor made the lightweight division in some way a marquee division. I know the lightweight division was relevant, but when Conor fought in it, he beat Eddie Alvarez. And so now whoever beats Conor McGregor, Khabib, takes all his hype, right? You've got Poirier. When Poirier beats McGregor, Poirier was still popular, not the level of star power that he is now because of that rematch KO that he had over Conor, right? And then you beat Alvarez, you're Conor McGregor, you fight Alvarez, Alvarez fought you. Whoever beats Alvarez next, their performance is going to be compared to McGregor. So there's like a ripple effect. If there's a big star in the division, anyone that fights him is going to take some of that hype, okay? Anyone fights the guy that they fought is going to take some of their hype. So that's the issue with flyweight. There's just no big stars in that division. Entertaining at times, but unfortunately, people don't get that hyped because the fighters aren't hyping up the fights that much. Lightweight. I just think lightweight's overrated in general. I think the worst part about lightweight is that it's overrated, okay? We've got the same guys outside of Benoit Saint-Denis, outside of Renato Moicano, who's been around, but he's not been in the top 10 picture of the lightweight division for that long. We've had the same people. We've got Fiziev, we've got Gaethje, we've got Poirier. Fiziev has already lost a lot of his hype, and he's inactive because he's been injured. Dustin Poirier is going to have a million retirement fights, and don't get me wrong, that's great, but I don't know. I think, I don't know. Lightweight doesn't hit the same. It just doesn't hit the same. Back when Poirier and Gaethje were young, it was a little bit different, but nowadays, these guys are fighting once every year and a half, right? Conor and Chandler are never fighting. Islam Makhachev is going to bounce after he beats Arman Tsarukyan, and so he's probably the most interesting thing about the division, but outside of that, there's really no challengers. And Charles is coming to the end. I mean, Charles Oliveira lost a lot of his aura when he got punched around and jabbed up by a pillow hands Arman. I mean, where are the young fighters that are rising up the ranks? Benoit, hopefully he can continue to win and he can become a bigger star, but he might get beat by Moicano, and if Moicano wins, that could be exciting, but I don't know. It just seems like the lightweight division is about to go into a bit of a dry age. Let's get on to the next one. Featherweight. What is the biggest issue with featherweight? The biggest issue with featherweight is that there are too many people that could KO Volk. There's too many people that could KO Volk. Let's say Volk gets KO'd against Ilia Topuria if they were to fight again. Let's say Topuria beats Max, and because that is honestly one of the best fights we'll ever have, Topuria versus Max. But let's say Topuria beats Max. He fights Volk again, he KOs him. Yeah, Volk in his prime probably beats a Diego Lopez. Volk in his prime probably beats a Dan Ige, but now he's been softened up, and now the playing field is more even since he would have been KO'd 3 times in a row. And now we're going to see him lose to Dan Ige. Now we're going to see him lose to Diego Lopez. Now we're going to see him lose to, Pillow Hands Aljo is going to have some pop. So Pillow Hands Aljo is going to knock him out, right? And then you've got Sheppy Mariscal that's going to KO Volk next. There's just too many power punchers. The featherweight division used to be the division of pillow-handed fighters that can't get finishes, but now that's changed. So it's just a scary place for a Volk fan, to be honest. But I actually think featherweight's pretty good. I think that there's a lot of talent coming up. You've got Diego Lopez. You've got Movsar Evloev. You've got Bryce Mitchell, even though Bryce Mitchell's not, that hype. But, you've got a lot of talent moving up the rankings. You've got Topuria, 27-year-old champ. He's only been, relevant for the past couple of years. There's a lot of new talent at featherweight that is making noise in the top 10, unlike lightweight, where it's the division of dinosaurs at lightweight. You've got Fiziev. We've seen Fiziev. We've seen Fiziev in the 90s, bro. All right? We saw Dustin Poirier versus Gaethje twice already. All right? So let's get on to the next one. Bantamweight. The worst part about the Bantamweight division is that it's a cold world down there in Bantamweight, man. I don't think Corey Sandhagen is ever going to be champ, and I'm a Sandhagen fan, and that kind of sucks. But outside of that, I just think O'Malley's going to leave after beating Merab. I don't think O'Malley's going to stick around for that long. I don't think we're going to see that Sandhagen fight. Maybe we see the Umar fight, and I hope O'Malley knocks him out just because I want to see him fight Ilia in the future. But I just have a feeling O'Malley's not going to stick around for that long. And as I said, it's a cold place, man. Our fan favorites, Peter Yan, Peter Yan's probably never going to become champ again. Even if he fights O'Malley again, man, O'Malley probably beats him. And you know what? O'Malley's an interesting champion. He's an entertaining champion, which is a good thing, but it's not a good thing if he's beating Yan. All right? That's when it's gone too far. So the worst thing is, I think that even if our fan favorite fighters get up to the title, like Yan, I'm bringing up Yan because he's one of my favorite fighters. He probably gets beat in a rematch because, you know, O'Malley's more in his prime than Yan is. And Yan is injury prone these days, and O'Malley's just evolved a little bit too much. And I could just see it being a really bad night for Peter Yan fans, even though I think that Yan would be competitive. And I don't know if O'Malley sticks around that long. If he does stick around, which, to be honest, if he leaves, it's not the end of the world. He'd fight Topuria. That'd be an interesting matchup. But if he does stick around, it could really be the most interesting and intriguing title picture across all divisions. All right? Not a whole lot to complain about Bantamweight, as you can tell. There's not a whole lot. We're really grasping at straws. The Bantamweight division is probably the best division in the UFC. Let's get on to the next one. The thing that sucks about light heavyweight, even though there's not a lot, because I actually think light heavyweight is really entertaining. It's not that talent stacked, but the top 10 is pretty good. The worst part about the light heavyweight division is that when Alex Pereira leaves, if he beats Magomed, whoever becomes champ when he leaves is not going to really feel like the real champion. Jamal Hill's already lost to Alex Pereira. Jan Blachowicz has already lost to Alex Pereira. Yuri Prohaska has already lost to Alex Pereira. The division is so shallow and it's top heavy that it's always the same bunch in the top 10. There's so many people that have already fought Alex and lost, to where if they get the belt back, we'll be like, yeah, but they're not really the real champ. Or they are the champ, but it's like, you didn't beat the best in the world. It's a pity trophy. That's the worst part about the light heavyweight division. Outside of that, it's a great division. Let's get on to the next one. We're here already. We may as well say it. Heavyweight. When Tom Aspinall beats Curtis Blades, there's literally no one else for him to fight outside of Gon. If he beats Gon and Curtis Blades, that's it. The division's over. He's cleared it out. You may as well bring in the freaking subtitles, or not subtitles, whatever the fuck they roll out after the movies. You better bring in the freaking credits, okay? When Tom Aspinall beats Blades, which he will, and he goes out there and beats Gon, which he will, roll in the credits. You can shut down the division and call it quits for 10 years because it's pointless for us to watch. There's no one interesting coming up the ranks. It's going to be rematch after rematch after rematch. John Jones and Stipe Miocic, listen, that's the obvious thing that's holding up the division. It's a logjam up there. And in my opinion, they've kind of checked out of the division. So the interim champion is like the real champ. If he beats Curtis Blades, he's kind of the real champ. He's active. Jones and Stipe are checked out. They're in their own universe. No one really considers that to be the true championship fight, even though Jones is the champ. And I understand that he beat Gon, and Gon was a good fighter. Because Jones is saying that he only wants to fight Stipe, and because he's checked himself out from the opportunity to fight anyone else, or he's not giving anyone else a chance, it just feels like he's not really a part of it anymore. Especially when the guy that you're fighting is old, hasn't fought for years. So there's a logjam. Tom Aspinall is probably going to beat everyone, and you know what? That's fine. But we're going to see a trilogy with Curtis Blades, when Curtis Blades plottily beats Jilton Almeida for the third time. Either way, that's it. That's basically it for the worst thing about every single division. The divisions aren't that bad these days. The divisions aren't that bad, but that's my take on the matter. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time.